What's going on, everybody? It's Jelani Goodrich Reed back again, part two. So, the first part of today's episode was the NFL predictions for the NFL playoffs that I have. Um, I did run out of time because there actually is a time limit. If you guys didn't know, it goes up to an hour. That whole thing that I just went off about with David Culley, Brian Flores made it reach an hour. So this is part two of today's episode, and I'm gonna head to basketball for a real quick second. I'm gonna go through this topic right now on the screen. If you see it, if you're watching on YouTube, it says, "Will we forget MJ?" That is Michael Jordan. I'm not talking about Michael Jackson, both goats, but yeah, will we forget about MJ? And then I'm gonna see, gonna show you my NBA championship bubble real quick, and then obviously I have to go to Jelani's fraud watch for today's episode. But will we forget MJ? Why do I say this? Why do I ask this? Why do I pose this question? Well, you want to see something? Well, this week we saw it was the Armchair Expert podcast with Dax Shepard and Monica Padman. Dwyane Wade, the great Dwyane Wade, one of my favorite players to ever play basketball. He went on the show. It wasn't necessarily a sports show. It wasn't necessarily a sports conversation they were having, but they went on to talk about this. You know, if Michael Jordan, if his, mystique, his aura, will it last? Will the greatness that we consider him to have, will it be as talked about as we move, years down the line? Here's what he said. The game continues to keep moving forward. And so we're going to continue to see things we've never seen before. And the eyes are going to get younger and younger. We're not going to be the ones having a conversation about the GOATs. Now, it's going to be the younger generation. And they're going to forget about Jordan like we forget about Kareem Abdul Jabbar. Okay. I disagree. I disagree. What I'll say is I know what he's saying. I see what Dwyane is trying to tell us. And it's true. As we move forward, 20 years down the line, even 15 years down the line, there will be more people that have grown up in the LeBron James era, right? And with that being said, more people are gonna talk about LeBron as the GOAT. Um, and as we move even forward, like we're talking 30 years down the line, LeBron's name will be that name. And there may be another guy that comes up, and we're gonna be talking about him. And then yes, the names of the past, they may fade. They may, but not completely. He said we're gonna forget about Jordan. I don't see that. I think that for sure the narrative may change in that there will be new people that we're going to talk about. There will be guys that are mentioned more, LeBron or someone in the future. Yes, they will be in the conversation a lot more than they are in right now. But the fact of the matter is we will not forget about Michael Jordan, the guy who I consider to be the GOAT, right? Obviously LeBron's the greatest player I've watched, but I give respect to where it needs to be given, and that's towards Mike. Let me give you this. I was born in 2000. Do the math of how old I am. Okay? Across sports, I'm aware of who's in GOAT conversations and who are the all-time greats. There are plenty of guys who haven't played in decades who will not be forgotten. Can I give you a name? Can I give you Pele? We all like soccer, football. We all know who he is. And I'll tell you right now, people in my age group, we have never watched him play. The most we got is YouTube. And let's say this, he's still around in the conversations. He's always brought up. He's always given respect. People still consider him to be the GOAT. And he hasn't played in how many years? We will never forget Pele for what he's done. It's paying homage. It's not just that, oh, he's not playing in this present time or he's not playing in the future, so we're going to forget about him. No, we always bring him up. We always remember Babe Ruth. Look, I'm not the biggest baseball fan out here, but I know who he is. When's the last time he played baseball? And we still to this day call him the GOAT of baseball. He is the baseball GOAT. Unless you want to say Barry Bonds or somebody else, he's the GOAT, right? And he hasn't played in what? 70 years? Come on, man. But we know Babe Ruth. We know the home runs. We know the Yankee logo. We understand it. We will never forget it. It's been how long, bro? A century almost? A century that he hasn't played. Almost. And still, we give respect. We understand the greatness that was once here. We understand. And I'm talking from the perspective of a young guy. I understand who these guys are. Jim Brown, football. I'm told he's the greatest NFL football player ever at the running back spot for the Cleveland Browns back in the day, long time ago, when there was no Twitter, IG, TikTok, when there was no internet, when the TV was more so black and white. Then it got into color and blah, blah, blah. But point being, I know, I understand. I not only look, we could look up the records and everything, so that could give us some context. We won't get the context. We understand that, but we know. And we never forget. Because guess what? Who is still brought up in the conversations of not only the best running back to ever play, but the best football player to ever play? If we're talking best football player to ever play, you're always talking about Deion Sanders. You're always talking about Lawrence Taylor. Jim Brown. And he hasn't played in years, but we remember. I was told Bill Russell was once the GOAT. Wilt Chamberlain had GOAT status. I was told this. I know. I'm aware of it, though. Have we not moved? Have the decades not moved? Year by year, decade by decade, we still bring their names up. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, we understand. Maybe the people right now have a lack of context, but we know, we celebrate, we respect. Michael Jordan will never be forgotten, guys. He just won't be. And it's because of the aura. I think, look, honestly, I feel the aura. I didn't watch him play, but I feel like he is actually a ghost. Like there's something different about him. You know? It's there. The aura is there. Additionally, you could go back and look at what he's done, the body of work. We're always going to bring up the body of work. It's always going to be the standard. It's always going to be, as we move forward, he's still going to be the standard, guys. I hope you understand this, because the standard, as we move decade by decade by decade, yes, LeBron will be there. Always. He might be the guy okay, well, he didn't do what LeBron did, blah, blah, blah. But we're still going to say, well, this new guy that came about, he's still no Jordan. We're still going to mention Michael Jordan. That's the thing. We're not going to forget who he is. We still mention Kareem. We do. And I get it. In the GOAT conversation, people do forget him. Right? They do. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. And then Michael came around and he's the GOAT. And then LeBron. But what I'm saying to you is this: Michael will not be forgotten just because the aura, because of what he's done, the body of work. We're going to be still talking about his accomplishments, what he did, the dynasty in the 90s. We're going to understand what he did in the 80s as a young player. We're going to understand that he changed the game of basketball globally. Okay. The brand. Hello. Is this mic on? Clean the earwax out of your ears. Hear me loud and clear. The Jordan brand. Yeah. Y'all think we're going to forget about the Jordan brand? Okay. Please. We're not going to forget about that. He still has that to his name. Yes, kids moving forward are going to be like, well, we only know the name Jordan, but at least they're going to know the name. They're going to know the brand. And then with more conversations, with more, things being available to them, they're going to see, they're going to understand. We're not going to forget about Mike. Okay, so I do disagree with this point. I understand that as we move forward, yes, maybe, the GOAT convo may change to where LeBron is the guy and then Jordan is there, but it might shift. We don't know. Maybe it won't, because Babe Ruth, guys, Babe Ruth, if you ask the majority, they still think Babe Ruth is the best baseball player to ever play. He hasn't played in forever. Last time he was playing, there was a war going on. So I can't agree here with Dwyane Wade. I can't agree here with D Wade. Okay. Now, quickly, let me move to this. My championship bubble. Yeah. So the NBA, it's heating up. Everything's going on right now with the NBA. Here are my title. I'm going to give you my title contenders, dangerous loomers, and the outside looking in. So I saw something on ESPN that was posted recently about how they're stacking teams up. So here are my title contenders as we speak: the Nets, the Bucks, Warriors, and Suns. Those are teams I could see right now winning the championship. Dangerous loomers: the Bulls, Heat, Jazz, and Grizzlies, and then the outside looking in. Sorry, Lakers fans, you're there. The Lakers, Nuggets, Sixers, and the Mavericks. I'm looking at the Nets, and I'm saying to myself, if Kyrie Irving gets vaxxed, it's over. It's over. Guys, there is literally a mandate maintaining the NBA parity right now. If this mandate changes, or if Kyrie decides to take this vax, it's over. It's over. And I get it. You're gonna be like, well, Jelani, they have a losing record against teams in the top 4 of both the East and the West. Guess what? As we move forward, as the playoffs arrive, I put my trust in the Nets. And that's even with a part-time Kyrie. I think with a part-time Kyrie, they're going to be favored on the road. And when they're at home, they still have 2 MVP type guys who I put my faith in come playoff time, given health. Last year, they weren't healthy, guys. That's why, let's face it, that's why the Bucks prevailed. And also, there was a line that prevented a 2-pointer from being a 3-pointer. But that's beside the point. I think that the Nets are dangerous, guys. This is scary hours. I'm telling you right now, watch out. Watch out. But one thing is, how will they mesh? Will things, change because Kyrie's being a part-time guy? Will the Nets be like will guys on the team be like, man, one night we have him, one night we don't? I don't think so. I think they're honestly going to come together even better now that Kyrie's here as a part-time guy. I just think the Nets are not to be messed with, given everything goes right in that situation. And I think there is hope right now. They're telling us there's hope that Kyrie might get the vax and become full-time. I think, it was ESPN that reported that. So it's out there. It is. The Bucks are there. Giannis could get the MVP again, guys. Look at the stats. Look at the numbers. Look at what he's done this year. He could, but there's fatigue, so he's not going to get that award. But the Bucks are not to be messed with at all either. The Warriors and Suns, clearly the best in the West right now. When I'm looking at the dangerous loomers, I said the Bulls, Heat, Jazz, and Grizzlies. The Bulls and Heat are the 2 teams in the East that are scary, but I don't see winning a chip right now. They are very scary. They could cause issues. The Bulls, my guy Zach LaVine, we know who he is. DeMar DeRozan, MVP type year. Vucevic, one of the more underrated players we have in the game right now. That's a nice big 3 right there. You have other parts, Lonzo Ball and company. But I'm also looking at Patrick Williams' injury. I'm looking at Derek Jones' injury. So how will they be depth-wise moving forward? That's what I'm asking. But I believe Billy Donovan will have these guys coached up to a point where they will be a major threat. And I had Billy Donovan as my preseason coach of the year pick. Heat as well. They are a team that could battle the Nets, could battle the Bucks, but things have to go right for them in order to win that, right? But when I get Jimmy Butler, when I get Bam Adebayo coming back eventually, when I get Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero has looked better this year. He's not looking like the Tyler Hero of last year. He's looking more like the bubble hero. Like, I mean, there are parts here that I could work with if I'm, Miami, and say to myself, hey, we got a shot. And they got my favorite coach in the game, Eric Spoelstra. Jazz, I mean, no one trusts the Jazz. I get it. No one does, but they're here. They are a good team, guys. Please believe it. I know you don't want to believe it. They don't do nothing in the playoffs, especially under Quinn Snyder. They just haven't gotten over the hump. But you never know. You never know. Rudy Gobert has done a great job, being the mainstay there. And of course, we have Donovan Mitchell. But I believe in what they have. They have shooting. They have guys that could get their own shot. They have the capability to win series, given things go right. And they have the coaching. They have things that could work in their favor. And the Grizzlies, I mean, let's not play around with the Grizzlies. This is the best team since the Zebo, Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, Tony Allen days. I'm telling you that right now. This is the best team that we've seen. And John Morant, I'm so impressed with him. Put him in the MVP conversation right now, please, please. Because what he's done has been impressive. And even without Ja, they've managed to win games. Why? They have youth. They can move. They could get their own shot. They're athletic. They do play both ends. And guess what? So they're young, but guess what? They have multiple parts. They have multiple parts that could stack up with rosters that are in the Western Conference right now. And they're not scared. They're hungry. So watch out for the Grizzlies. I don't think they are a championship team by any stretch, but they are going to cause issues in the playoffs. Outside looking in, let me just highlight the Lakers. They're obviously along with the Nuggets and Sixers and Mavs. They are just not a championship team. The Lakers are not a championship team right now. I can't see them winning anything right now. LeBron James, though, MVP type guy, year 19, second in scoring. Hello. Wow. But Westbrook, I love Russ. I love him. He's one of my favorite players. But this guy does not fit. We've seen the tape. We've seen the footage. He doesn't fit in Los Angeles. They cannot win with this going on. And when AD comes back, how is he going to look? Because I went off on him. Plenty of times, and I don't believe that he's that guy. I don't believe he's the 2020 bubble Anthony Davis, where I could trust you, where I could put the ball in your hands and say, take me there. That's what the plan was this year. LeBron, year 19, was like, yo, AD, this is your team. Take me there. Take us there. I'll take the back seat. You drive. I'll be in the passenger side. And still. So can I trust Anthony Davis when he comes back? How is he going to look off of injury? Is he going to have that motor that we're looking for? I don't know. Are the Lakers going to make a trade? Because nobody's trying to get Russell Westbrook. Nobody is willing to get Russell Westbrook. Maybe you could try to finesse one of these teams that have a dumb front office, but it's not going to happen. Okay, so nobody's going to take that baggage, right? And they're old. I don't know if they can stack up with all these young teams in the Western Conference. They have to be healthy, so that's another question mark. Even LeBron is starting to get hurt a few times. So can his health stay, even though he's playing, 37 minutes a night? Can that be maintained? I don't know. I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. I don't see them being a team that could outshoot teams. And if you can't outshoot teams, can you at least play defense in terms of the perimeter? They can't. And their defensive ratings, actually, it's better than what it looks. I think they're like middle of the pack in terms of certain defensive, defensive categories, but they just, on tape and what you've seen from the games, tells you otherwise. It tells you that they lack the skill on that end to run with these teams like the Warriors and Suns. So I don't know. You obviously don't want to bet against LeBron, but this is just not a championship squad right now. It's just not. So let me move real quick to the Jelani's fraud watch. The fraud watch, the Colts. The Colts. I'm back to football, obviously. Where do I start? Where do I start? The Colts had to just, guys, if you didn't know, context is the Indianapolis Colts, good team. All they have to do was beat the Jaguars. Beat the Jaguars, and your playoff chances are great. You're going to get in the playoffs. The Colts are the best team not in the playoffs right now. It's them and it's Minnesota, in my opinion. They lost 26-11 to the Jacksonville Jaguars with a rookie quarterback, interim head coach, and all. Lackluster roster, a lack of talent everywhere in Jacksonville, and still they lost again. They haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. What? 2014? Man, it's been a while. Yeah, it has. So the Colts, according to Chris Ballard, they will explore all venues in terms of a quarterback. And why is that? Why are they looking at quarterback? Because Carson Wentz was terrible. He was just terrible. The Jaguars, you got to beat the Jaguars to make the playoffs. You're not going to show up for us. Carson Wentz, we brought you over here. The Indianapolis Colts brought him over here to make the playoffs and make noise in the playoffs. You have a good running game. You have a good O-line. You have a good D-line. You have a pass rush. You have guys that could stop the pass. You have guys that could stop the run. This team overall is one of the better rosters in the AFC. They brought Carson Wentz in because they needed a quarterback at the time. And they felt like he would take them to maybe more heights, maybe make them be a team that could really contend in the AFC. And still, they're nowhere to be found. When I look at the bracket for the playoffs today, they're not there. Why? Because Carson Wentz, the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, guys, he didn't show up. When it matters most, can you count on Carson Wentz anymore? I don't know. The defense, though, they didn't show up either. Jonathan Taylor, he couldn't hit 100 yards rushing. It was dreadful. It was terrible. It was a disgrace to all Colts fans out there. I'm sorry, Colts fans out there, but y'all should be in the playoffs right now. To lose to the Jaguars when it matters most, you win and you're in the playoffs. That's it. And you can't blame Chris Ballard for being as upset as he is. Jim Irsay, the guy that said the Colts are going to win 2 championships in the next decade, where are you? He's angry because we felt that Carson Wentz is that dude. He's a nice guy. He played really well in Philly in 2017, MVP type year before he got hurt. And he comes here in Indianapolis. He had a good year, Carson Wentz. I felt like he'd have a resurrection. He did. Look at the stats. He played well. And also he limited the turnovers this year. But when it mattered most, he couldn't beat the Raiders the week prior, and he couldn't beat one of the worst teams in football. Oh, yeah, by the way, they have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You couldn't beat those guys? Please. That's definitely fraud watch worthy because everybody was like, man, are the Colts for real? They have one of the best rosters. If they made the playoffs, they would have been one of the scariest teams in the dance. And still, it came down to Carson Wentz coming up short again when it matters most. And you wonder why Philly fans are happy that they have Jalen Hurts in-house rather than Carson Wentz. You wonder why. And now that they're looking for a new quarterback, possibly, you're looking at maybe Kirk Cousins is on the market. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is on the market. I don't see them getting Rodgers or Wilson or guys like that, just Deshaun Watson, none like that. But you're going to bring a guy in to battle and compete for the job, and they have to because Carson Wentz came up short when it mattered. And these are the same people out there that wanted to say he's better than Dak Prescott. Remember that when he was an Eagle? Remember when Carson Wentz was an Eagle and all these guys were like, man, Pennsylvania, he's better than Dak Prescott. Please stop with that. That concludes the episode. Thank you for watching. This is RBTL with Jelani Goodridge Reed. I'll see you next time.